Hello and welcome to When I Stop Fighting, the podcast, where we talk about the fight or fights that so many of us engage in this lifetime, as well as ways to help alleviate those fights. My name is Daryl Dittmer. Let's get started.
Hey, everybody. As we're wrapping up season 1 of When I Stop Fighting, the podcast, I want to tell everyone that I appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you listening and or watching, however you're doing that. And I wanted to let you know that I've put together some compilations on sobriety, recovery, on life advice stuff. Probably going to do some with some of the funny clips that we've had over time and some of the funny moments. So take a listen, take a look, and hope you enjoy them. We'll be doing that kind of throughout the holiday season. But as a reminder, for those of you that don't know, I am an author, and we do giveaways every single month from my website, which is Daryl Dittmer, DARYLDITTMER.com. And November, we're giving away a signed copy of my first book, When I Stop Fighting, The Unexpected Joy of Getting My Head Out of My Ass, as well as a signed copy of my second book, When You Stop Fighting, The Road You're On Is Your Own Asphalt. So want to make you aware of that. And if you can take a listen, take a look, hit my website. We're going to be doing a lot of specials and things like that on the website for the books. My second book, actually, since it's a new release, is out right now. The ebook is only 99 cents, and that'll be for a limited time. So I'd love you to pick it up, read it, and let me know what you think. So be well and enjoy these compilations.
The journey is so it becomes so flavorful and so bountiful, and the breadth and the depth, as long as we keep doing those things. And a lot of times for me, and I think for you as well, it's things that we don't necessarily feel like doing or want to do until we do them for a while. And then it's okay. And then it's okay to jump into the unknown. It's okay to do things that may be scary and may be frightening.
And this is not just, and I've got a lot of friends and colleagues around me that, have sacrificed careers for family. Okay. They made a conscious decision that they're going to, pinch pennies and struggle a little different because their goal was to be there for their children. Okay. That's a goal. And that's what you chose to do. I don't hear those people complaining about having a victim mentality because they chose that route. Right.
And they 100% chose it, and they own the fact that they chose it, and that's their life. The ground where we meet is on our emotions. We have different stories, and I did this, but I didn't do this, and I did this, but I didn't do this, and you did this, but you didn't do this. And our stories, as far as what's going on out in the world, aren't necessarily the same, but we all connect on the playing field of emotions, and we all feel the fear, and we all feel the pains, and we all feel the scared to death, and we feel the anger, and we feel the love, and so we meet on that playing field. And I think it's sometimes we get lost in looking at people and maybe putting them on a pedestal and saying, well, you're not supposed to feel all those things because you're X. I don't think about the fact that other people, everybody feels those things. Everybody's got stuff to deal with. Everybody's got their elephant in the room in terms of something they need to contend with. And I think that's a cool place to start our interactions with humans. And it sounds like on the Vibes Broadcast Network, that's exactly what you do.
Because the amount of people that I've had conversations with that I've never talked to before from my social media, from my podcast, and all of these things that come to me and say, hey, man, I started doing XYZ. I was going down this path, and now I'm going down this path because of you. I just want to say thank you. I don't think I could ever repay you. And stuff like that fills my heart. That's why I do what I do at the end of the day. It's not, just to be like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, is to literally show people that it is possible, because a lot of people struggle with knowing things are possible if they haven't seen or heard anyone do it before.
Well, and that's exactly what my solution-centered mindset is. We sort of know where we want to be. We want to be happy, but there's always these limiting factors that get in our way. And how we address those limiting factors, we have to identify them first. But once we identify them, what's our way of getting around them or going over them? And that creates our unique pathway to that solution. So if happiness is your solution and your limitations are exactly the same as mine, which they could be, how we deal with that and how we create our path through them is going to be different.
Like Steve Jobs said, you only can connect the dots looking backwards. So now as you are talking, I'm having that aha moment and connecting the dots that's so true. Men and women, we process our emotions differently. And it's important as women to understand men so that we give men that space, very important. Not to ask them, oh, tell me what you are feeling, because for them, they process it differently. Or if the man is quiet, because the men, how they process is they go in their cave, they need their space, and that's how they process their emotions in their own way. But the women will say, no, you don't love me, come here, tell me more. But women need to understand, leave the man alone, let him be by himself. That's where he builds his testosterone.
Those guys that I partied with were dying off in their 40s. And I mean, you don't really hold on to those same friends, once you get married and have kids. I don't know a whole lot of them that do. I did have a few that eventually I had to say, hey, enough's enough.
The mistakes you make in life are just that. Learn from them. Don't repeat them. You're probably going to repeat them, but learn from them, and, failing is all part of it. There's no getting around it. There's 1,000 books out there. Fail to success. And we all did. How many times did we get our teeth kicked in and we went back for more punishment? And most people say you're out of your mind. We just kept doing it until you get to the other side of that line.
Right. Yeah. But in the end, there's so many things that we glean from that, not to mention just growing personally, growing financially. I mean, our outlook on life has changed, completely, because we're able to look back and look at all the scars and the, bumping our heads and getting concussions and getting our teeth kicked in. And, that's what shaped us.
To be able to share vulnerably and really realistically about what's going on with me, to talk intimately about problems that would not make it onto my timeline, and also to be there for other men who maybe are having the same types of problems or issues and they're just scared.
Creator of Volleyballed, I have to do this to put the D on the end, training camps, probably hard to tell why. He's an entrepreneur and generally a really great human being. Thank you for joining us, Norm. So great to have you on today.
Thanks, Daryl. And I have to say that I'm really not bald. I'm shaved. It's a choice.
It's a choice. Well, I'll just have to say, for my part, it got to the point where it felt like it wasn't a choice anymore because the tide was going out so darn far that, just it became a necessity. But anyway.
Like, as long as I'm human, I'm going to be a mistake-making machine. And like the humility we learn helps us to be able to tolerate the fact that we're imperfect, and how trying to be perfect is just a recipe for disaster, and comparing ourselves to others and all the things that we do in that whole vein, how that's a recipe for suffering. But the issue is that we are always going to keep making mistakes. So nowadays I could see myself coming and I could say, oh, okay. And, I could sit down and I could journal about it, write about it, and, not take everything I feel as being a sign of the truth, that, feelings aren't facts.
And this was not an easy one for me either, because I'm not a loud guy. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't know why I'm doing podcasts. I don't know how that ever came to be other than writing my books, but it was a natural extension, and I had to tell myself and convince myself to get out there. And just like you, there's a beautiful story to share, and a story that if related out in the world can help people. One thing you mentioned about I don't know, to me, that's another one of those things that just opens up this panorama of freedom to be able to say that I don't know, because I don't need to know. And there's a lot of people that and it comes, as we go along, we gain faith and we gain insight and we gain that ability to listen to that still small voice and go where it leads us and all those kinds of things. So why the hell do I need to know? And then because you don't. And then I run into somebody, who wants to know for everybody else. And I'm just, you don't need to. You can't know for anybody else.
Trying to make a difference in the world, not just to myself, but trying to be a difference to people in the world, people that's trying to actually help people that's actually trying to give and, show a different direction from, where you've been, and this is what you can do regardless of the pitfalls and the trials and tribulations that you went through. If you go through the fire, it's something good that can come out of that.
It takes that discipline and that consistency. Those are the two pillars, I think, of that sort of guard us. Either they guard us or we succumb. And if I'm being consistent and I'm being disciplined, which they breed each other, nothing can stop me. And I truly feel that way. Now it doesn't mean I have to do everything in the world. It doesn't mean I have to drive myself into an early grave by trying to be, this crazy successful dude. I kind of stopped being I didn't stop being a nut job. I've always been a nut job, but I know how to slow myself down. I know how to quiet myself. I know how to quiet my mind, and I think all those things are crucial as we get older, but when we're young, we just go, and you're in that go mode. And I love to see it, because I was in exactly that go mode when I was your age. Daryl, this company is going to be part of your legacy. And I swear my stomach just soured when I heard that. I was like, no, that's not going to be my legacy. That's not going to be what I'm remembered for or known for or anything like that. And not too long thereafter, and I was an owner in that company, and not too long thereafter, I decided I needed to go. I needed to move on to something else, because of that. That was a little bit of a catalyst for me, because I needed my legacy, or wanted my legacy to, whatever my legacy was, I didn't want it to be that. And anyway, so.
No, but good for you, because honestly, I talk about the noise a lot, and I'm not trying to jump ahead or anything, but like that those words get in your head, and either you let them consume you forever and you stay stuck. I think stuck is one of the worst positions in life you could ever be in. So you just stay stuck because someone told you that this is what this is for your life, not that you chose that for your life, but you chose to do the hard thing, which was the best thing for you, and to break free from that narrative, because you were like, no, like I know self in here, and I know I'm destined for something different in my lifetime,
What you were saying is, it reminded me of an old saying that I use, and I use this saying to talk about, the fact that people want what they want, but they're not willing to do the work to get there. And the saying is, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to die. Sometimes you got to get your teeth kicked in. Sometimes you got to, do the hard stuff and do the things you don't want to do. Right. I mean, that's how it goes, and that's how it works. And it's kind of it's a tough way to talk about it, but it's true. Did I want to do all the things that I needed to do to put myself in a position where I wake up in the morning where I'm content. I didn't want to do it all, but I knew I had to do it all. You know, I knew I had to do it all. I knew it was non-negotiable. You mentioned a little bit earlier, in terms of your podcast and wanting to give back and wanting to, pump some good things into the world. And I'm 100% with you. I could not agree more with, we need that. We need that as individuals. We need it as communities and country and everything else. We need to help shape things at their roots, and the roots is the people, right? The roots is human beings and helping people. If there's something that we talk about that helps someone, then we've done our job, right? I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, and let's face it, the things that we talk about are not the most popular on YouTube or any platform.
Yeah.
Most of it's either pop culture, video games, or politics.
Mm.
And you can, if you want to just go make money, then you talk about those things, go make money. But I just feel like there's enough of that out there, but there's not enough positivity going on.
Do you have a plan? Oh, you don't have a plan. Okay, so then how do you expect to get out of the situation you're in? And it's difficult. And yeah, that's always a catch-22. That's always a tough one, And I always do find that victim mentality is the crux of it, as we all know. I mean, you're simply blaming your woes on somebody else instead of taking ownership for why you're in the situation you're in. And I don't have sympathy for those folks, man. It's tough.
It is tough, and sometimes it's hard to hear. I mean, I have, people that I've known and people in my family and, just have that sort of mentality at times. And I can't get my head around it because I can't imagine ever in my life that there isn't something I can do about whatever it is going on, whether it's okay, shut up and do nothing and allow something to unfold, or whether it's, and I've said this to Christina, my wife, many times, like it doesn't matter. I would do anything now in my life. If she and I were struggling and we needed extra money, I would go stock shelves at Walmart if that's what I had to do. I wouldn't care.
There's no pride in that. I think at the end of the day, you've got to put the pride aside and do what you got to do to get where you got to go.
I have to say one word that kept coming to me as you were speaking was courage, and the courage that you've shown and it takes courage to not reach out and blame the world and blame everything and blame, the past traumas and those sorts of things and sort of pick ourselves up and say, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to change. And that's an absolute critical step in terms of actually moving forward. And I've had a lot of my, emotional stuff over the years that's been trapped in me come out in, I don't know if I mentioned this on your podcast, but I've had ulcerative colitis, and I've had those kinds of issues, and I've been, for the most part, asymptomatic for over 10 years, but it's easy to just sort of let those things lodge inside of us instead of moving through them and allowing them to go away and allowing ourselves to be free of these things. And it takes a lot of work, and you've obviously done a huge amount of work, and I applaud you from the bottom of my heart. It's just what a great story. And now you're spending your life helping others, which to me deepens the journey.